Hello, Mariah.
Hello, Lisha.
Thank you very much for agreeing to be a guest on my podcast, Mind Yourself.
Yes, you are so welcome. I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh, I'm so grateful to have you. The little bit I have read and researched about your story, it is absolutely amazing. It's so inspirational, and I'm just so grateful to have you on here.
Oh, I'm so grateful. It's weird to think about that person. Like if
Mhm.
whenever you read my story, it's like a whole different person. So sometimes it's weird. Like I don't even know who that person is anymore, but I'm very grateful to be where I am today, 100%.
Wow, I'm so intrigued already.
Oh yeah,
Ma-
it's a
Mariah,
mess.
would you, when you're ready in your own time, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, so I am Mariah, and
Mhm.
I am, whoa, okay, so I am a wife. I'm a mama of two. I love God. I have 7 years sober from heroin and meth, and I um am a Christian business coach and strategist, and I help women to build, launch, and sell their coaching programs with like spirit-led strategy. So I am also going to school too. I'm going to school to be a psychologist, and I'm also working towards my to get like a MBA in business and marketing and sales. So I have a lot going on,
Whew.
but I am super grateful regardless.
Right, that is amazing. That is a long list of things going on in your life right now, isn't it?
Yes, it
A
is.
long list, and you're
Yeah.
still here and you're still smiling. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Super grateful.
Oh, thank you for that introduction. You've mentioned a lot there. There's a lot for us to speak about, isn't there? But would it be okay with you if we just go back to the beginning and if you tell us about what you were like as a child?
Sure. Oh yeah. So I haven't had that question before.
Oh.
I've always been this like really happy, bubbly spirit ever since I was younger. Even during my mom has been remarried multiple times, but my dad remarried a woman who was extremely abusive physically. And so from 3 to 9, I was abused by her, but I was still very bubbly, very happy. And I even like would apologize to her and be like, "Oh, will you just I just wanted to be loved, I think." And so my dad didn't believe that it was happening, but it was. But regardless, that still kind of made me feel, like I wasn't good enough, like there was
Mm.
something missing or something wrong with me. Um, and my mom finally got full custody of me whenever we were 10 and we moved to California. And then tons of stuff happened there. But as a child, I do remember always being helpful, always wanting to help people, always being bubbly. I still remember always being happy and trying to find the good in everything.
That bubbly nature you spoke about, it was evident from the minute I logged onto this call with you, Maria, and it's so genuine and heartfelt that it's infectious. I can feel it all
Thank
the way
you.
across the ocean over here.
You make me cry. Thank
It
you. I
is.
appreciate that. I do. We never know what people are going through.
No.
And I remember in my darkest times, I would
Mhm.
have somebody who would just give me one of those hugs. Have you had one of those hugs where just like they hug you and it feels like your entire world just feels okay
Yeah,
for just those for like 3 seconds? And so I want people to feel like that whenever they're around me, regardless of what they're going through.
I can feel that. That's beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
mentioning those hugs now made me think of you as a child, Mariah, and when you were going through that tough time that you shared with us, was there anybody there to give you those hugs? Was there anybody there for you?
Yeah, so my mom and my grandma were actually very, very supportive during that
Mhm.
time. And my mom fought for full custody of me, like 20 different times. I think she went to the courts. But my stepmother was a pediatrician. And so ironically, um, she had uh, the final straw, I think, was whenever she held a curling iron to my head and I had to have plastic surgery for it. But I think I was like 4. And so my mom was like, trying to finally get custody of me. But the whole time, I always remembered like my mom fighting for me. She was always fighting for me. My grandma, my great grandparents, everybody was always, you know, comforting and loving. And um, it was kind of hard though, because I didn't want to be um like coddled too much. I wanted everything to just be okay. Like I wanted to live in fantasy land almost. Like
Mhm.
it's not happening. Whenever I come home, I just want it to be normal. Like I don't want to think about this anymore. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just, so but I did. I had a very, very strong support system as a child.
Mm.
I did.
Yeah, that's a lot to deal with as a child, isn't it, Mariah?
Yeah, I my memory blocks out a lot of it. I can remember
Mhm.
a few incidences pretty clearly. Older I get, the more memories I have. It's
Mhm.
strange, but I my mind blocked it out for so long.
Mm.
Um and I don't know. My mind trauma does that to us, so
Yeah,
if it's too traumatic, our brain will block it out.
yeah, self-preservation.
Yes.
So it is a lot to go through as a child, though, isn't it? Did your childhood years influence your teenage years?
I think so.
Mhm.
Then as I was then I got into my teenage years and it
Mhm.
was wanting to be accepted and wanting to be because that's one thing that my stepmom would always say to me is your dad doesn't want you. He doesn't want you. He doesn't love you. And so from a girl, right? I was like, and I didn't have much contact with my dad after that. We're really close now, but middle school years, I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be the cool kid. I wanted to fit in. I wanted love. I wanted a
Mhm.
boyfriend. I wanted
Mhm.
to be kissed. I wanted,
Mhm.
I would watch all these little love stories and want to have my Prince Charming. Um, but I got in with the wrong crowd by wanting to
Yeah.
fit in. And I also, whenever we moved to California, my stepbrother was abusing me while like from 5 to or not 5, I'm so sorry, 10 to 15.
Mhm.
Um and it was really slow, it was really gradual. And then eventually I told my mom because something bad had happened, and I finally told her, and we left and we
Mhm.
moved back to West Virginia. But it was almost like I accepted it to happen because I had been like groomed
Mm.
already to think that I wasn't worth anything and that I was, well, just I didn't want to stand up for myself. I didn't want to get anybody in trouble. I just wanted everything to be okay in our life. My mom was so happy in California, and I didn't want her to have to go through something all over again. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and he smoked marijuana, and he was drinking, and he was a little bit older than me. So I that's where I started, smoking and drinking too, was whenever I was
Yeah.
about 13.
And you mentioned the wrong crowd there, Mariah, and you also mentioned a lot that you wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
is it fair to say that you did all these things in an attempt to fit in with this crowd that you met?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. 100%. I didn't they didn't really care about me though.
Hmm.
If they were trying to fit in too. They were just trying to be the cool kids too. So it's a bunch of
Mm.
people who were lacking some sort of need in their
Hmm.
life, and we're just all combined together, like filling our filling that void with all these negative things that only tear us down even more. So it was a really um it really was the wrong way to go. But I was considered one of the cool kids, and I had the big parties and things, but I still didn't feel like I fit in. Even whenever I was in all that, I still didn't
Mm,
feel, I felt like the odd one out. I always have.
yeah.
So
And you've spoken about abuse and the two times that it happened to you. And I'm so sorry that you've had to go through that two times, Maria. I really am.
it's okay.
And then you said that you went down this road of, using drink and drugs and things like that. A
Yeah.
lot of people will use these things, post abuse, as a means of escaping or a
Mhm.
distraction from their lives, won't they? Was there any
Yeah.
element of that for you, or did it work for you? Did it create an escape, or did it distract you from what was going on in your life?
So what it did was it made me feel comfortable in my own skin, and that
Hmm.
I felt like I could be myself and I didn't care what anybody else thought. So my confidence rose,
Hmm.
and I thought that I was like the coolest thing in the world.
Mm.
And whenever I was smoking or whenever I was drinking, I felt like I had power. That's what it
Yeah.
was. It was power and it was confidence to me.
Mm.
And I'm actually in control of my life. I'm in
Hmm.
control now. Nobody's gonna hurt me. Nobody's gonna
Yeah.
do this. But as soon as, I'd wake up the next morning, I was still stuck with myself.
Mm.
So,
And it's interesting there. You said it gave me a sense of power. It made
mhm,
me feel powerful. And you said, but that was only to me. You said that that was only your opinion of it at the time, which shows an awareness that when we use these things, that sense of control or power, it's not real, it's not authentic, is it?
no,
Obviously, it's
you're
hard for a
actually
teenager to see that, but
yeah, oh yeah, you're actually extremely powerless.
mm,
You are not in control whatsoever, obviously, because you're under the influence of something.
mm,
And it just opens the door for, because I can guarantee you, and this is one thing that I really want to go and talk to the high schools. I've been talking to a few people, and I'm really hoping I'll be able to go and talk to a few. But it is so important that they know that the majority of the kids who smoke and drink, smoke
mm,
weed and they drink, they will also be doing little pills here and there,
mm,
or they'll be doing Molly, or they'll be doing other things. And so it's people try to make fun of it as like it's not a gateway. It's not a gateway
mm.
that's stupid. Okay, for some people it's not, but the majority of people it is.
Yeah. So you say it's a gateway. Was that the case
Yeah.
for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Whenever we moved back, whenever I told my mom about the abuse and we left, um, whenever I got into this new high school, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to look for the people who smoke and drink because
mhm,
that's what I like to do on the weekends. It gave me the power and it gave me the confidence, right? And it made me create
mm,
this image of myself, this imaginary person of myself who I wanted to be, but I couldn't figure out who to be in my own skin sober. And
mhm,
so I started hanging out with those people, and those people were doing pills. And
mm.
so I started doing pills, and I um, got in with the wrong crowd throughout high school. And I graduated by the grace of God. I did. I graduated high school, but right after graduation, it was um, all downhill from there
Yeah.
until now.
Until now, until now. And
Yes.
you said, you've made such a good point, and it's such a joy to listen to you with the clarity that you have now on it, Mariah. So, like,
Thank you.
we surround ourselves with people with similar mindsets and similar things going on in their lives, don't we? So, you said yourself,
Yeah.
you went to school and you sought out that crowd.
Yeah.
So, you've just said as well that after school it got a little bit worse. Did you seek out the same crowd outside of school?
Um, So um I kept with the same crowd.
Hmm.
Um and I'm from where I was at was Huntington, West Virginia, and for I think 2 straight years in a row, it was like a really bad, like it had the most overdoses in the whole US. And so it was a it was a really tough place to be, and I'm away
Mm.
from there now, but it's just I kept with that same crowd, and the pills became a higher level of pills, and then those pills became way too expensive. And
Hmm.
so the only option was heroin. And
Hmm.
I swore I would never do heroin. I swore I would never use a needle. I swore I would never do XYZ. And it all ended up happening. Um, it all happened so fast because the drugs blind you completely. You do things you would never do. That you would never do. Um, that you say that you would never do ever.
Yeah.
So
And you said you swore, I can hear that in your voice. You swore you would never do touch or go near heroin.
yes.
To make that promise to yourself or to say that, what was your thoughts of heroin or what was your knowledge of heroin before you did try it? What did you know or think
So
about it?
do you know the show Intervention? Have you heard of the show
No.
Intervention? Gosh, so it's like an addiction show. It's like on A&E or something, and I used to watch it all the time. And I would
Hmm.
watch these people who were in addiction and they were like a mess. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is I was like I'd watch it with my mom in high school, and I was drinking and smoking and doing the pills, but I was like, I would never. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is a mess.
Yeah.
And then they would have an intervention with them and they would go to treatment and they would either get sober or not get sober. But, anyways, I watched that all the time and I was like, I will never. How do they do that? How do they do this? And I'm like, oh, that's so bad. And it's just so funny how drugs take away every piece of what is that called? They take away every piece of dignity that you
Mm.
have to get that drug. Or even alcohol.
Hmm.
um it takes away every piece of your dignity. So yeah, it was I still remember telling my mom in the living room one day, I'm like, I don't know how these people, like, how do they do that every day? I will never. And then everything I said I wouldn't ever do, I did.
And what was it then? What do you think, if you had to say it, if you had to say what happened, what is it that brought you from the pills to the heroin? Even though you had seen on television what happens to people when they go down the heroin route.
That's a really good question. So, um, I had, whenever you're on pills, you like any kind of opiate, or even alcohol, or, you know, anyways. So any kind of opiate or alcohol, if you do not have it and you have been using it for so long straight, you are going to be sick. You are going to feel like you have the flu times like a million. I mean, like you're
Mhm.
shaking, you're like your whole body hurts, you're sweating, you're throwing up, your nose is running, and just every piece of your body hurts and aches, and the touch of your skin is crawling. It's horrible. So after I've been using the pills for a long time, I was dope sick and I couldn't find any for what I had. Like the pills had gone up to like
Yeah.
$120 for one pill. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just ran into a friend and she was like, well, hey, she was like, I have some heroin. She was like, she's like, I swear it would help. And I'm like, that little bit, like, are you serious? Like, I'm really sick. And she's like, I promise. And so I did. And it made me feel better. And it was only like $15. And so it was cheaper. It was more accessible. And I uh, didn't need as much. So I was
Yeah.
like, this is a win-win
It helped. It
at the
helped what
time.
you needed help with at the time, didn't it?
It
It
did,
was such
yeah.
a help. And they say, don't they? A lot of people say, and you probably heard this when you were watching Intervention with your mom, that heroin is one of the most addictive substances in the world, that it gets hold of people straight away. Do you feel
Yeah.
that it got hold of you straight away?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's much more dangerous because of the level of like the high that it gives you,
Hmm.
and then how quickly it suppresses your respiratory system. And that's why people overdose so quickly, is because it completely suppresses your respiratory system, and your lungs slow down and your heart slows down so slow. And so yeah, it really did. And I met a drug dealer, her drug dealer, right after that, and I started dating him, and
Yeah.
that's my son's father. And he passed away 2 years ago from
Oh,
an overdose. So
oh, sorry
yeah,
to hear that.
it's okay. I just wish he would have had. I wish he would have had the opportunity um to get sober and to see this side of sobriety and live and get to know, sorry, uh, get to know how amazing his son is. But he's watching from above. I know he is. I just wish that he could have been happy and seen sobriety while he was here, is all.
But because you're so amazing and inspirational and strong, your son is seeing one of his parents live that life. You should be
Yeah,
very proud of that.
sure. I hope so. I really pray that I've told him everything. I have.
Yeah.
I am extremely open with my son. He's 10 and he's so wise for his age.
Hmm.
I lost custody of him whenever he was only 6 months old, um, to my mom and my grandma. And I got him back, obviously, but and I've had him back for 5 years now. But um, I'm very open with him, and I tell him everything because the drug classes, like the DARE classes that they teach over here in the US, they don't tell you. They're like, okay, you could die or go to jail. They don't tell you all of the things that you're gonna do. They don't go into detail. Um, and that's why I want to go talk to these high school kids and be like, listen,
Yeah, give the
this and
detail.
this and this could happen. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
because they do not go into enough detail, and the kids need to be scared.
They do
They
need to be
do.
scared. This is what they all need to know. I couldn't agree more, Mariah. And I just want to say again that your son has one of the most inspirational role models as a mother. And I really think he's very lucky to have you. And then the other one,
Thank
like you
you.
said, is an angel looking down on him. So,
Yeah. I think that's the best compliment anybody could ever have, is to be told that they are a good mother, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
just
you're just,
because I think my worst fear is for, I mean, just anybody off the street could tell me you're a bad mom, and I'd be like, you don't know me.
mm.
But for my kids
Yeah,
to be like, you're a bad, I think that is like my worst. Like, we were talking a little bit about that before we got
yeah,
on here,
we
but
were. Yeah, well,
I just want them to know that they are so loved, and that they can come to me for anything. I don't want them to feel like they have to hide or lie to me.
I have
So
no
yeah, but
doubts that they
anyway,
feel that from you. I have no doubts that they feel that from you, Mariah.
thank
So
you.
you were kindly explaining about the what heroin does to your body, about your respiratory system. I never knew that. And
Yeah.
you said it took a hold of you very fast. And what is it like when you are on it? Does it feel good when you take it? Does it make you feel really good?
Yeah, I mean so as soon as you did, and I eventually started using a needle, and the reason why people go to needles is
Mhm.
because it happens faster, it's
Okay.
instant. And if you use it the other way, then but um there's so many diseases out
Hmm.
there. And
Yeah.
I know I am so lucky, but a lot of my friends have HIV now
Hmm.
because of sharing needles and things, and hepatitis. There's It's so dangerous. And I know a friend who has her arm cut off from here down because of
Wow.
from doing it the wrong way, kind of, but also because it was bad drugs.
Hmm.
So anyway, I Wait, what was your question? Why did I just go into that? Oh, how does it
I was
make you
asking how it
feel?
feels. Yes, exactly.
So what it does is it gives you like this rush to your head and it takes away all of the pain. And really, do you want to know what happens
Yes,
whenever you're on
please.
heroin? Um, this is what you do. You sleep. You literally just sleep. You are paying to go to sleep. I will like stay up until like 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes doing homework or working on my work for school or for school or work. And I'll be sitting there and I'm like barely holding open my eyes, looking at the screen, and I'm like, I used to pay for this. I am so mad right now. If I knew all I had to do was just like stay up late, but anyways, it really it does, and it what it does it just it gives you an extremely like euphoric feeling, but
Mhm.
it puts you to sleep. It's so euphoric that it puts you to sleep. I
Wow,
mean,
because
it's like
it's morphine, isn't it? It's the morphine we get in hospitals is similar.
oh right, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's all heroin is. It's just it's opium. It comes from the opium plant, and so does morphine, and so
Wow.
does hydrocodone that you get from. It's just a very high level and much dirtier version because it goes from place to place, and they cut it with God knows what.
Hmm.
Today they're cutting it with fentanyl, and I
Wow.
haven't used heroin for 7 years. So, and yes, thank you. Or meth, but that was my other thing. But I know so I've lost about 20 friends just this year
Oh,
from heroin
so
because
sorry.
it's okay. They think that they can go back out after they get sober,
Mhm.
or the stuff that's going around today is not pure form heroin of what people think it is. It's just not. People put everything in it. And I used to, my son's father was a drug dealer. I watched him put different things in it. Benadryl, he would mix it with like nerve pills, all kinds of stuff. So I mean, it's so dangerous. It really
They
is.
put more in it to make more of it to get more money. Is that the reason?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And you know this
Yeah.
euphoria you speak about, I'm just so curious about it. So like your beautiful example that you're sharing with us. So you're taking heroin, you know it's wrong because you've watched them TV shows with your mom. You know you don't want to be taking it. Like you said, you moved to the needle, you know you don't want to be doing that either. Is this euphoria so great that even all the guilt and bad feelings about that go away? Like, do you forget everything and just feel good no matter what's going on in your life, even if you're homeless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was homeless. I was a prostitute. I completely it just shuts off everything. And my son, I tried because of my son, because I wanted to get better for him.
Hmm.
I went to 26 rehabs, and my 27th one was the one that changed my life. So from 19 to I think like 25, 26, I went to 27 rehabs and I had overdosed 12 different times from the
20.
hospitals. That's just the hospitals records that they have. I've been revived by Narcan by friends multiple times that I don't even know.
Oh my goodness. 27 times. I'm just looking at you and I'm just thinking you must have such determination and such amazing willpower. And what was it that made you keep going 27 times? Was there an inner self-belief?
I I knew I would run away from a lot of them because I would
Hmm.
have so what I believe is, and what I've been learning in my psychology classes and in all of my certifications and in trauma, like informed things, is that wherever you were broken at as a child, there's a specific moment where you were really broken, really tore down, something really flipped a switch there. Your emotional maturity level is there.
Okay.
So not that you are immature, not but your reactions to situations is. And so until I began to work on myself, after I got sober long enough, um, I would have a moment of weakness, or I would just get angry at something, and my emotional maturity was so low that I would be like, I'm leaving. Like, bye. I
Mm.
would be in Florida. I went all over the country to different rehabs. I've been to Florida. I've been to California for rehab. I've been to North Carolina. I've been to, like, you name it. I have been to that state. And so, every time I would run away, and I would find a way home regardless of where I was, because I was just as determined to get high as I was to get sober. And I wanted to get sober for my son because I knew that there was better. I knew that there was something bigger. There was something bigger for me, but I didn't know what it was. And
Mhm.
I just, you want to know? Here, I'm going to tell you the big thing, okay? Here it is. I was afraid of responsibility. I did not
Mhm.
know how to be a normal human being who paid bills, who
Mm.
was a mother, and the thought of that scared me to death. I had never had any full responsibility before, and so it was very scary, and it was much easier to be
Mm.
a homeless prostitute than it was to get sober and change my life and have to be a mom and take care of bills and blah blah blah. And I
Yeah.
thought I was going to have to do it on my own too. So,
And it's so interesting you saying that, isn't it? Because that as hard to understand as it might be for some people, that was your comfort zone. That's what you
yeah,
knew. And human
yeah,
psychology is such as that, isn't it? We will stay in our comfort zones no matter how traumatic or how harmful they are. We stay in them because even if they're making us unhappy or sick or both, we stay
yeah.
in them, don't we? Because we know it. It's the known.
Hmm. Right.
And the
Yeah.
known is less scarier to us, no matter how hard it is at the time, than the
Yeah.
unknown.
Right. Right.
Wow. 26 times, 27 times altogether. Wow, that's just fascinating. So you tried 26 times and succeeded once.
Yeah.
What was different about the time that you succeeded?
It was a faith-based rehab. And I
Hmm.
was so mad at God before I got sober, but there was there was a moment that I was in the bathroom. I was in a strange man's bathroom, and I um was sick. I was dope sick, and I was so tired of living like that. And but I was mad at God. But I got down on my knees. I locked the door, and I got down on my knees in the bathroom, and I was like, I don't know if you're real, like, but if you are, I really need your help right now. Like, I can't do this. I don't want to live. I don't want to be here
Mm.
anymore, but I have to be here for my son. Please help me. I don't care what it is. Like, I'll be a soldier for you. Do you want me to be a soldier for you? I'll do whatever it is. You just tell me what to do. And if you can get me out of this, I will do whatever it is. Please help me. I can't do this anymore. And so every shred of my dignity was gone. I mean, I'd been homeless for about 3 or 4 years by then. My mom and my grandma had moved my son away from me to North Carolina, and I was in West Virginia. I was bouncing from house to house and sleeping in different parks. It was just really, really bad. And I was also on meth at the time too. So I was staying awake long enough to make sure I made my money as a prostitute, but then also keeping up with my heroin habit to make sure I don't stay sick. Or yes, to make sure I'm not sick. So it was just a
Mhm.
horrible cycle. I had gotten to like the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. And I got arrested 2 weeks later. Um, and it was the first time I'd ever went to jail. I was like, the law can't catch me. I'm good. Like all my other friends that went to jail. I'm like, I ain't never been to jail. And I finally went to jail, and I got a felony. Um, and it's weird because I actually saved a man's life. And I called the ambulance because he had overdosed. And they because I had drugs on me, they charged me with a delivery charge, which is a drug charge, which I'm getting expunged this December, and I'm so excited. It's going to be completely clean off my record. But so I did. I went to jail and I was there for a few months, and then they were like, okay, so well, actually, I was there for a few months. They let me out on probation, just to be, out on the streets on my own. They didn't have anybody. So I got out for a weekend. I overdosed twice in that
Oh,
weekend. Saw my probation officer Monday, and she put me back in jail. Well, I was like, well, this is it. Like, I'm going away for 15 years. Like, this is done. And my grandma had called me and said, your probation officer found you a faith-based rehab in Charleston, West Virginia, um, called the Union Mission. And if you want to go, you're going to be court ordered to stay there. But if you go, you'll be out of jail. And I'm like, okay, anything? I don't care. Just get me I'm going. And as soon as I walked in those doors, there was like, you remember whenever I told you that hug, that feeling of that
yeah.
hug? These people walked up to me and they hugged me and they held me, and I was probably like 100 pounds soaking wet. Like it was horrible. I looked horrible. I was nasty. I'd just gotten out of jail, and it was like I could breathe. Everything was okay. Everything felt okay. And I'm like, I can do this now. Like it's possible for me. Like I can do this. And so that whole year, I just was, they took away our phones. We were really contained to this group of women who were amazing. I still love them to this day. And I even stayed an extra year to love on the women coming in. So, yeah.
So you said that you met these people, you felt that warm symbolic hug, and you said, it's
Yeah.
possible for me, I can do this.
Yeah.
Had you said or thought those words in the prior 26 times?
No,
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 never.
no.
Wow.
I felt like God was real at that point, and I'm like, okay, okay, is this you? Is this what you are doing?
Hmm.
Is this really, is it okay? And I just felt like I almost felt that same euphoria as I
Mm.
did whenever I would use. And I literally, like, for the first time, you know what it was? It was safety. Like, wow, you're safe. Like, you have a bed. Like, I remember, I will never forget this, but there was peach cobbler on the counter at the rehab whenever I got there. And I'm like I hadn't had good food, like home cooked food, in so long. So it's just like a safety and a comfort feeling. And like you could tell God was there. Like you could just
Mm.
tell God was there because it was just so, it was so peaceful. Everybody was so loving. And I literally just kept, I thought in my mind over and over again, I was like, if this is what it's like I can do this. This safety, this peace, this love that I feel, that's just like, oh, it was just, it was my change. It was my turning point, and I've been
Can
sober.
hear
That was
it.
March. I walked in on the door. I walked in those doors March 10th, 2017. So,
Wow. And you've mentioned the word safety a lot, Mariah. Safety, safety, safety. Was it the
yeah,
safety and security that gave you that sense of self-belief this time that you didn't get the other 26 times?
I think so. I really
Yeah.
do. I hadn't felt safe with people in a long
Hmm.
time. I hadn't felt safe with around myself.
Hmm.
I didn't even feel safe within myself because
Yeah.
anywhere I would go, I would look for something to steal. And I didn't even trust myself.
Hmm.
So safety and trust and capable,
Yeah.
seeing other people who did it, and they were all happy, and like they had came out of the same situation as
Yeah.
me, and I'm just like safe. I can trust these people. They're not going to hurt me. They're not going to, you know, try to steal my food because I'd been in jail for so long. And I feel capable. Like I can do this now. I have the resources now that I need to get my life together. Let's do this.
Let's do this. I can hear it. And it's symbolic of what you said when you were in your teenage years, isn't it, Mariah? You know, when you said you were at that place in your mind and in your life where you went and you sought out a certain group of people.
Yeah, right?
In
Yep.
high school, it was the people who were drinking and smoking. But
Yeah,
this time, it was seeking out a different group of people, isn't it? You were surrounded with yourself with people who not only wanted to achieve what you wanted to achieve, but had achieved it as well.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're bringing this up right now. I love that you said that because there are two things that have kept me sober. There are two things that have kept me and that keep me sober. One is God, and two, actually three, really. So
Mm,
God, who I choose to surround myself with. If I were to meet somebody who was doing drugs and they came over to my house for like a week straight, I
mhm.
would end up using. I would. And I have 7 years sober. I have to
Wow.
be very, very careful with who I surround myself with on a daily basis. I
Mhm.
can help people. I love helping people. But
Mm,
as far as them coming into my space and using, I have to be very, very, I don't allow that to happen.
yeah.
And then the other thing is my kids. I have got we have come so far. We own a home, we own two vehicles, we have a four-wheeler, we go four-wheeler riding, we have dogs, we have our kids, we have chickens, we have, we have gotten to this place now where it would be stupid for us to go back. I can't imagine
Mm,
my life without my kids. I just can't now, you
no.
know.
And it's amazing that you say it, that the three things that you said, they're all amazing in their own right. What really struck me there as powerful is you're obviously so determined, so strong. So you're just an absolute inspiration to everybody listening to this. To me, definitely. I'm just in absolute
Thank
awe of
you.
you, Mariah. For you
Thank
to have
you.
gone through all that you have gone through and for you to overcome the most addictive substance on earth, people call it, and to still say that if I hung around with people doing that for a week, I know I would go on to it. Not only is
Absolutely.
that's beautiful self-awareness on your part, but it also shows the power that these substances have on us, on humans, doesn't
Absolutely.
it?
They really
Wow.
do.
I think your honesty about that is so refreshing, and I think that would really help a lot of people.
Thank you. It is so true. I can't even drink alcohol. Like whenever we
Mhm.
first moved down here, I thought that I'm like, okay, I'm a normal person who pays her bills now. Like I can drink wine. And no, I couldn't. I took it
Yeah.
way out of hand. I was like, I can drink a sip, I can drink a glass of wine because I'm normal now.
Mm.
No, I will never be normal. I take everything way to the extreme. Even my business, even my schooling, I am extreme on all levels with everything. Like whenever I'm determined, especially with everything I've been through, anybody
Mm.
who's been through so, so much
Mm.
and they have failed at everything possible, but they got back up. Um, those are the people that like you don't want to mess with. Like we are the determined ones. And I don't know what you've
Absolutely.
been through, but I know that if you are doing this, if you are doing podcasts for people, I know that you have a very strong story as well because you want other people to get their stories out because you've been there. And I know that. I
It's
can
funny you say
sense
that,
that.
isn't it? Because you were speaking about your rock bottom, Mariah, and I really, really believe that the best stories start at rock bottom. And my story and all of this started at my rock bottom. So it's funny that
I
you said that, your
I
intuition.
love it. Yes, I
And you know,
love
like
that.
speaking, this is all so fascinating. And thank you so much for sharing it and being so honest and open
You're
about it all. You
welcome.
know, when you said about the three things that keep you sober, so you mentioned your beautiful family, you mentioned God, and you mentioned the people you surround yourself with. They are the things a lot of people overcome an addiction turn to, isn't it? A higher power of some sort, whatever it may be. Some people have God, some
Right.
people have the universe, whatever it may be. And the
Right.
people you surround yourself with, it's so important, isn't it?
It is, it really, you have to believe in, you have to believe in something. If you cannot believe that there's something better and that there's something above you and that there's something helping you and guiding you and giving you a hope, then it's going to almost be impossible, because we can't put our trust in ourselves and we can't put our trust in other people. We are
Mhm.
flawed. People are flawed. God, whatever it is that you believe in, is
Yeah.
not flawed. And so, um, to have a belief that you can trust in something to guide you, absolutely. Yes.
Right, I'm conscious of the time and the big list of
Yes,
things
me
you have
too.
going on in your life. So I'm just, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to ask you a couple of more questions.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was just looking too, and I'm like, oh gosh, I've talked so much.
Oh, it's fascinating. We're definitely going to have to do this again if you agree and if you have the time. Um,
Sure.
do you, everything you've gone through, fascinating as you are, what's your belief in regards to, do you believe anyone can overcome addiction?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
100%, 100% with the right resources and the right support system, 100%.
brilliant.
Absolutely.
That's
They need a
beautiful.
resources, a support system, and a belief system. Three
Hmm.
things. That's all you need.
And that's achievable for anybody, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah. Okay, these are the final, these are actually the final questions, the final three questions that I ask everyone on my podcast. If you have
Let's
to
hear
go
it.
at any time, please tell me.
Well, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, good. Thank you. Mariah, if there's somebody listening to this in the same or a similar situation that you were in what we both called, the dark time, the rock bottom, what would you like to say to them?
Mm. Oh, buddy. Oh, about makes me cry. Um,
Mm.
I wish I could give them such a big, warm hug and just wrap my arms around them and tell them, I love you. You are so special. You have been through so, so much. You're going to come out of this because it's possible, because you have everything within you that you need to get to where you want to be. And everything that you have been through is going to help somebody else one day. Um, and you are worthy and you are loved. And it doesn't matter what you've done, and it doesn't matter how far gone you think you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you've lost your kids, if you've hurt your kids, if you've done the worst things possible. It's okay, and it's gonna be okay. I think that's what I wanted to hear a lot, was it's gonna be okay. I just wanted somebody to, it's that childlike thing where
Mhm.
you just want like somebody to hold you and rock you and just say it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And just hold you like that. Because we can't see our way out whenever we're in that. All we see
Mm.
is that dark tunnel, and we can't see a way out.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I really believe that's going
You're
to help
welcome.
someone today. So thank you. What
100%.
have you learned about life, Mariah? In a sentence or two,
Whoa. Oh,
no pressure.
woo. Let me see. You want to know something that I
Mhm.
believe and what I am a big, big advocate for in my entire program and what I'm doing and everything I'm doing, why I'm doing this whole business thing, and going to school to be a psychologist, is I believe, and what I have learned is that it does not matter the things that you have been through, and this person here, um it is possible to get up and to follow your dreams and to live a happy, fulfilled life, um regardless of where you've been, regardless of what you've done, and taking the pain and using it as steps to help other people out of the pit, you know? But I think another thing that I've learned is like we don't have the option to give up. We don't have the option to give up. There's no way that there's not hope for anybody. There is hope for every single person. I think that's that's like out of my whole life, I think that's like the biggest
That's
thing that
beautiful.
I have learned is it is possible and there is hope. There we
Yeah, I
go.
couldn't agree more. Same beliefs as my own, Mariah. Thank you. And the very last question, what do you think
Yes.
is the secret to life?
Optimism, always looking for a brighter side. There is a bright side to absolutely everything. And I get on people's nerves with it because they're like, can you just like listen to me in the bad side for a second? And I'm like, yeah, like I'll sit in it with you, but there's also this.
Yeah,
Everything is figure outable. Everything. Everything is figure outable. Um and yeah, I think
I
that
couldn't
was
agree
it.
more. Mariah, I could chat to you for hours. I absolutely could
Yes.
chat to you hours. It's been such a pleasure. You are such an inspiration. You have
Thank you.
inspired me, and I know that you're going to inspire and help so many people. So thank you for sharing today, and thank you for being
Thank
you.
you. You are so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.